Okay, well, thank you very much, first of all. So with the reception that Webb received when trying to tell his story in the first place, were you afraid that it would receive some of the same response when you were putting it together?
Like if I'm the messenger now?
Yeah.
Very much. I mean, it's happening right now.
Really?
Yeah, very much so. Because it's based on a true story, then you're sort of open to a lot of criticism like he was about the truth and things like that, especially, you know, what I was able to put into the film. You know, this film could have easily been a documentary or a mini-series or something much longer to be able to put in all of the details of it. But obviously it's a 2-hour movie, so you have to find a way to construct emotionally his and intellectually his journey. And, you know, that's what you know, Peter, who adapted it, you know, that's what we focused on for the script. So, you know, I mean, I hope that, you know, at the end of the movie, people will then read his book, Gary Webb's book, Dark Alliance, which the script is based on, and it's basically all of what I just said, all of the details, everything. I mean, it's a big doorstopper of a book. And, you know, he wrote an investigative piece, which was only a 3-part series, which he wanted actually for it to be longer, but it was edited down a lot. That's one of the reasons why all the nuance of what he reported wasn't put out there. And then he never, obviously, as shown in the movie, really got a chance to do follow-up as people were starting to, you know, poke holes in it and things like that.
So you mentioned that sort of you're seeing some of that backlash as well. Could you describe a little bit of some of the...
Right now, I mean, a lot of the backlash is more saying what I just said about, you know, why didn't you include this, why didn't you include that? That's from their perspective, that's an important part, or things like that. And, you know, when you make a film, you have to, you know, you have to condense it and, in my opinion as a filmmaker, put in the essential things.
Gary Webb, San Jose Mercury News.
You believe in conspiracy theories, Gary?
No, I don't believe in conspiracy theories. Conspiracies, yes. If I believe it, there's nothing theory about it.
Was there anything you found when you were sort of putting this movie together that you weren't able to put in the movie? Were you censored in any way?
You know, there were details about, well, one thing that didn't make it into the film, but I guess this is more of an academic thing, or an academic thing, is that, you know, Oliver North, I believe we all know who Oliver North is. You know, his involvement in this, obviously he was very involved with Iran-Contra and the illegal arms sales to Iran to fund the Contra War. His involvement in any of the Contra cocaine connection, meaning not at the sale of arms to, you know, Iran, but the drug dealing that was going on and some of those profits going to being sold here in the States and going back to the Contra War. His connection we had to leave out because it was so little. It was reported on so little in the 80s that we didn't have any hard proof to really pull from. And we definitely pulled back on him, on any of his involvement, because we didn't really know the facts. Oh, well, the current state of investigative journalism, I mean, they don't have him on staff anymore. You don't have Gary Webb's, you know, be on staff at the state capitol. I mean, he was brought in. He didn't actually work in the Merc. He worked at their Sacramento bureau at the Capitol building in the capital of California. He was brought in from Cleveland because he had a history and had success with government corruption, graft, things like that, of really holding people, you know, politicians and stuff, and people like that accountable. And he actually wrote some articles that were actually changed law for the better. You know, we broached it a little bit in the film in the beginning, that he wrote an article about the drug forfeiture program, where they were basically, you know, taking suspected drug dealers' properties away to make up for the money that they made off those drugs, and these guys weren't even indicted yet.
Was the government aware that you were smuggling tons of cocaine into the United States?
Yes, the government knew.
This leads to very sensitive national security matters.
National security and crack cocaine, the same sentence. Does that not sound strange to you?
I'm going to tell you the whole truth. I'm going to introduce you to people you should talk to. And then you will be faced with the most important decision of your life.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Deciding whether to share it or not.
One of the DEA's most wanted brought in thousands of kilos of cocaine to the U.S. every day. For them.
For who?
The U.S. government. Or with them. Or at least while they were looking the other way.
Jesus.
So when you set out to make this movie, was it primarily a character study on Gary Webb, or more to get the story that Gary Webb uncovered out to the...
I mean, both. I mean, as a filmmaker, I had to, you know, you could do all your homework and read up on the history and the facts and all that of sort of the investigation. But what was very important, which is the more amorphous sort of, I wouldn't say amorphous, that's not the word, a more unknown part of the story is who he was as a person and his personal life. So me talking to his wife before that and talking to people who knew him personally was really, really important to understand his passion and why he was, you know, why he was the way he was and why he really believed in being a cop on the beat, you know, in a way. So that was a big investigative thing for me, because Peter, who wrote the script, was a journalist. He did a lot of he adapted the book by Nick Scow, Kill the Messenger, which has everything in there. So a lot of that was set for me. You know, I just had to do the homework and check sources and like things like that and read deeper into the history of, obviously, I was in college during the Contra War. So, and the Iran-Contra, the hearings, the whole thing breaking. So I was very familiar with that, but just reading into what was reported on the Contra cocaine connection, it was hardly there. It's hard to find. And Webb was really 10 years later, in '96, the one to really uncover that.
What you found here, Gary, is a monster.
You have no idea what you're getting into. Are you really telling me that I should just walk away from this?
You'd be an idiot not to.
This story scares people.
I'm your big brother.
Well, it should.
Be careful.
There are ongoing operations you're in danger of exposing. We know you were in Nicaragua. Am I being followed?
I heard they found a solution. Where you be for the revolution?
I thought my job was to tell the public the truth, the facts, pretty or not. And let the publishing of those facts make a difference in how people look at things, at themselves, at what they stand for.
We'd never threaten your children, Mr. Webb.
What'd you say?
It's over.
I'm not finished with it! I'm not finished!
This is a true story. Some stories are just too true to tell.
Where you be for the revolution?